Yes, I wanted to start off with, do you recall the moment when you discovered how cathartic making music could be?
Yeah, I'd say definitely the first time I actually played a show and you're able to play music in front of people and have that connection with people, even if it's just like two people there. It's just exciting. You know?
Yeah, for me it wasn't shows because when I started out, I had terrible nerves. It was actually the first time I really enjoyed writing a song, and then it was well received as well. That's when, like, just the feedback from writing.
In terms of like the writing, do you find writing the instrumentation, the lyrics, more cathartic?
It depends on the song for me. Sometimes the instruments are the thing that I really focus on, but sometimes it's a song that lyrically needs to be written, I guess.
For me, it's more often the instruments. I find writing lyrics like pulling teeth. Like it's not something I'm very good at, but hopefully getting better.
On the last single you put out, the thing that struck me about the lyrics was that they can almost be like applied to kind of like a straightforward, like poppy love song, but you instead kind of take it and make quite a darker, quite a different piece with it. How much of an influence do you think you take from pop music in what you do?
Quite a lot, especially older pop music. I'm a big fan of like lots of 80s pop bands and like Tears for Fears and like Human League and stuff. So.
Yeah, contrary to how we look, we actually really like pop music. So.
How did you first come upon bands like the Human League and Tears for Fears and stuff?
A lot of movies. Like I was a big fan of like a lot of John Hughes stuff, and obviously there's a lot of things like Simple Minds and things like that, and things like YouTube recommending. If you're listening to one song a lot, it'll then like recommend the other songs, and you kind of just use that to.
Mine was my parents. So, like, my parents have very differing music tastes. So, like, my dad was totally into like disco music and Lionel Richie. So that sort of thing was always on. But then my mum kind of like similar stuff of like Human League and whatnot. Nothing gothy, nothing scary. That was all me.
How did you first get into that then? How did that come about and how did you discover that?
Ironically, that was my parents. My dad introduced me to Marilyn Manson as a 12-year-old.
Yeah, no, I didn't know
like,
that.
this is cool, man. So, not looking back from there.
Mine's was just falling into that crowd, I guess. And then, like, I just totally fell in love with it. I mean, my mum likes to say that I was always just a goth, like from the moment I was born, because my favorite toy as a kid was this glow-in-the-dark skeleton, and I still have it, and that brings me joy. So, yeah, I guess I've always been a bit spooky.
Actually, when I was a wee kid, I got Guitar Hero, and when I was like really young, I think it introduced me to a lot of like heavier sort of stuff as well. It's a bit dorky, but.
To take it back to your songwriting as well, how important would you say structure is to what you create and what you make?
I think having a good structure can make the difference between a bad song and a good song. I think not many songs have bad ideas. Sometimes it's how it's put together. So it's a lot of, once you've got the ideas, refining what should come when and how many repeats of certain things there should be.
Yeah, and sometimes you have more than one idea in a song, and it would be better to separate them out into like two songs rather than have like one big kind of mind map of a song, I guess. So, I mean, for us, certainly, we like to really refine down songs. And sometimes we have to like almost add again after we've kind of like stripped it back. Like,
sometimes too much.
Yeah, sometimes we're like, oh, maybe we should, add a chorus back in or something. Like,
How long does that process roughly take?
Sometimes it can take a day, and sometimes it takes months.
Yeah.
So,
so actually, for me, that's the longest part of it. I think getting the ideas, you can sort of jam it out, like sitting at the guitar, sitting at the piano, and then actually refining that into structured into proper songs, what takes the bulk of the time.
For sure, yeah.
I like speak to a lot of bands as well, and you might find that they're obsessed with trying to create the perfect pop song, or they're obsessed with trying to find a riff that can fill a stadium. Is there anything that fascinates you and you think you always come back to in your music and an obsession in that sense?
I want people to be able to dance to it. I want people to groove, and if I don't feel like I could dance or groove to it, I kind of scrap it pretty quickly. If I'm writing, I tend to write songs from the drum machine first, and if I can get a loop on that it's playing over and over and over again, I don't get sick of it after hours of listening to it, then I know it must be something pretty decent,
I think the gross bits of our songs are like my favorite thing to do. I like making good things sound bad, but then you still want to listen to it. Basically, he like crafts this like perfect pop song and stuff, and I just come along and I'm like, let's make it bad. So that's what I do. I take so much joy in making disgusting sounds a good thing.
I noticed when you first started off as well, the music was maybe a wee bit more punkier, you kind of more traditionally rooted in those punk roots. But as you've gone on, it's come away from that a wee bit. How much of a role do you feel your punk roots to play in the music you create today?
I mean, I use anger to do art, and anything I do is always fueled by anger. A lot of the reason why I personally have kind of moved a little bit away from punk and the actual music is because I got really sad. And I was like, maybe I should just let this sadness out for a little bit and then see what happens. But I mean, it's still very much coming from that place of just hating the world and just wanting to be like, you should hate it too.
For me, it's like, I guess, learning how to actually play a synthesizer, because when we started out, I just wanted to have synthy stuff. So I went and got a synthesizer. I didn't actually know what I was doing with it, so it kind of went unused for a while. But as I learned how to actually play piano and play a synth properly, we could incorporate it more and kind of maybe closer now to what I actually imagined initially. I just didn't know how to write that, and just, yeah.
What is like the main driver for change and like evolution in the music you create, do you think?
Mood. Entirely mood for me. Whatever's kind of going on in my life, whether it's like the stuff I'm listening to at that time, like if I'm listening to kind of more industrial stuff, I guess that kind of comes out a little bit more. But it's, for me, back to the catharsis of like music and whatnot. Like I always do music to make myself feel better, even if it like might seem like the songs are like sad or whatever. Like I needed to do that. So in terms of how things evolve for me, it's entirely dictated by just how I'm feeling and what I need at that time. Don't know about you.
For me, it's my biggest paranoia in writing is about stuff sounding too samey. So I always really try, maybe sometimes I get too paranoid about making it sound different, you know? Sometimes I just try to will it into being, which maybe isn't the way to go about things. Maybe I should, yeah. But.
Generally those songs take the longest.
Was that the striking like visual act of the band, but like in the cover art and the way you present yourselves on stage and the way you dress, was that there from the start as well, or at what point you kind of realised how important that was?
A little bit. We always did think about what we were wearing, but in terms of the actual aesthetic we have now, that's me. Yeah, I am fully realising my goth potential and enjoying wearing this ridiculous stuff day to day and just kind of heightening it, and I think you've very much felt the same.
I've always been a fan of bands with like a strong visual identity,
Yeah.
like Susie and the Banshees and like Nine Inch Nails and stuff, and I guess I always wanted to be like one of those bands, but I didn't have much of a sort of artistic background. But Monique's got plenty, so she can handle that, and I can just make suggestions like, oh, what about you try this?
Yeah, the thing that really ended up sticking was the glitter tears, which we're not wearing right now, but like that was just a throwaway thing that we did for like one show, and they weren't even red, but I just thought, oh, I like glitter, let's do like a sad thing. And then afterwards I got red glitter, and I was like, what if? And then it just worked, and yeah.
Does the visual aspect of the band ever feed into the sonic aspect in the music? Sometimes, like Waste Your Time, the newest single, I don't know, I started with a place where I kind of had a vision of what I wanted the song to be like and how it would look being performed, and I wanted to write a song that would fit those vibes in my head. But I think that's the only time for me that the visuals come before the song.
I wouldn't really say that they're divorced for me. I would say that whatever I do, I'm kind of, this is who I am, and that just comes out in everything that I do. I think, I mean, you can see that my hair is the same as my current outfit because I like matching, and it's just, yeah, it's just who I am. Yes, just, my whole world is whatever I'm doing.
How has making music and creating art changed your view on the wider world and your perspective upon it? It's made me appreciate a lot of bands and songs that I wouldn't in a lot deeper sense, because I kind of appreciate how tricky it was to write that or to come up with that idea. And it's like, actually, that's really clever. And it's maybe that's how small a world it is, because I feel everyone in the music scene, like everyone knows everybody, and constantly you're reminded of the fact how tight knit it is and how small a world it is.
Yeah, I feel like I've actually grown more frustrated with life, because when you start out before you kind of know industry and all of that, like you're totally like wide-eyed and like everything's great and everything's gonna be great, and then when you're already angry, like with the punk roots and everything, like when you're already angry coming into that, but you're still like, people are gonna be receptive, and then you're doing something weird like us, and it's just like roadblock after roadblock, is finding out that that's just how life is, and it's not all roses.
Yeah.
Would like to reverse that question as well. How do you feel creating music has affected your understanding of yourself?
That's a tricky question there.
I mean, for me, I have like, when I say that I like pop music, you know, if I were to say that I really like listening to Bananarama, for instance, and like I absolutely adore doing Venus on karaoke, it's not something people expect, and they kind of are a bit like, what? And it's like, well, that's, you know, something I like, and I don't necessarily feel that my music taste is always expected from people just because of the way that they look at me. But I guess it's kind of part of like the constant misunderstanding that I have, is I can't just like something, I have to like the things people expect me to like, and it's just parallel for my life, really.
I think it's made me appreciate how much I actually like music and how much I've used music to cope and to feel, and just how big a part of my life just listening to things was. And yeah, and how even writing it also become a thing I'm compelled to do. I feel stressed out and anxious if I don't write stuff, you know?
I mean, I certainly feel that music in particular, like specifically just listening to music, not necessarily the lyrics or kind of something that's got a narrative in that way, just the music itself taps into stuff far better than most things as an experience for like pinpointing the exact emotion that you want to feel or that you need to feel. So like it can be a big thing. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
No worries, thank you.